guys, welcome back to my channel, CokiCreative. My name is Elena, and today we are doing another speed build in Sulani, and it is going to be a micro home and an off-the-grid house as well. So not only am I working within a 32 tile constraint, I am also working in absolutely no power and very limited water kind of stuff. So I had a lot of fun with this build actually. I picked orange for the outside of the house because Sulani has these amazing sunsets and they're very orange and yellow. So I kind of want to take inspiration from what those sunsets look like and something that I thought would look really pretty as the sun was going down. And this lot particularly, I want this build to belong here. I wish I could have uploaded it to the gallery on this lot, but if you are familiar with like this particular lot and you upload a lot of stuff to the gallery, you might be familiar with the fact that there is a gigantic boulder right in front of this property lot, and which is so frustrating because when you build your beautiful house and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna upload this to the gallery, and then all of a sudden there's like this gigantic rock in the way. So I did move it to where the bar is. If you're familiar with Sulani, there's that like bar right next to the beach. I ended up taking the bar out, putting this house, and then I uploaded it to gallery from there. But if you do want to add this to your game and you're like, what is the optimal lot for this house? This is the one where I'm pretty sure there's like an old blue house that already exists here. I knocked that one down. There's a volcano right up to the left of the house. There's a waterfall right down the road. You can walk right to the beach. It's kind of like, I think, the perfect spot for anyone that's in the conservation career or anyone that just really likes the great outdoors. Now, for this house, I actually made a sim along with it. This is the only house I've ever done that with. And the sim is a mermaid, so I kind of thought like this house is kind of built for mermaids because I figured mermaids are always like, they love the outdoors, they're constantly swimming, they don't really spend too much time inside anyway. So I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cute? So I made, her name is like, I think Aqua Pacific or something. She wears a lot of orange because she goes with the house. And what I really like, I actually played her for a while too in this build when I was done. What I really like, she wakes up, she goes out to the water in the morning to get her little hydration meter up, and yes, I just think it's the perfect house for the two. If you want to move in a different sim, go right ahead. I don't care, it's your game, but in my game, I had a lot of fun kind of playing around with her and this. So on the outside of the house and the landscaping, I really wanted to focus on all the outdoor living that you can do in this house. Since it's a micro home, there's not a lot of living you can do in the inside. I figured why not make the outside just a lot going on. And the lot is actually a fairly big size, even though it's like a 30 by 20, something like that. It's a nice long lot. I added a garden. I ended up changing the flower arrangement thing to a workbench. There's a beehive thing, apiary thing. There's like a little grill outside, and there is a swing set as well. If you are not familiar with swing sets, they actually build your fun meter thing up really, really fast. So if you live in a off-the-grid house and you can't use technology and you don't really want to rely on books because that usually takes a while, get yourself a swing set. Your sim will swing for like 10 minutes and their fun just skyrockets, which makes absolutely no sense because personally, I mean, I've been on a swing before. I know guys, pretty crazy. I've been on a swing before. They're fun, but they're not that fun. But the Sims, it blows their mind how much fun this is. So if you're looking for something that is not electronic that you want to add in your sim game for their fun meter, man, add a swing set. All right, and that's my talk about swing sets for now. Here I'm just adding like so much really cute like landscaping and flowers. I wanted to keep the color palette around orange, but I did add a little bit of purple and pink in there as well, just because they have really pretty bougainvillea that came with the Island Living pack. And around the campfire in the back, I added some like casual seating. I also put a guitar, because I can just imagine like the sim that lives here, they go outside and they have friends around the bonfire and they're playing guitar and just kind of loving life, loving the outdoor life. They're not spending much time inside. So that's kind of why I added as much as I did. And I really wanted to frame the house with all of the trees and all that stuff, because I just made it feel like it's its own property. Sometimes it just feels like if you're putting a teeny tiny house on a lot, it just kind of feels like the house is just sort of sitting there. So I really wanted to frame the house with a ton of like foliage and palm trees and all that good stuff. So I made it cozy on the outside, if that makes any sense. And also, if you're a fan of the debug menu like I am, which I have mentioned pretty much in every single one of my videos, I love what comes with island living. It is my favorite stuff in the debug menus. It has, if you can see, starfish, it has coral, it has like really pretty flowers, and it has cool rocks that hang. It's just, it has a lot going on, and I think when it comes to like aesthetics of landscaping and stuff, the island living one comes with some great stuff. So if you're looking for a pack that you do not own, island living is one that I definitely suggest. Anyway, so as you can see by the garden, there is this banner up ahead. I had to move that. You'll notice that later because my sim could not get underneath it. That is a debug item, so I think it just kind of had an issue with, it's like, oh, it's taking up these tiles, this and that. That's just one of the joys of working with debug items. So anyway, also, you can see in the garden, I did add like vegetables and fruit in there. One thing that I really like to do if I add any kind of garden stuff is I like to add the fruit and vegetable already there and have my sim plant it before uploading it to the gallery, because I just think giving it that extra attention to detail is more, I don't know, I just think it's better for the people that download my builds, because then they don't have to do that. And if they don't want the flowers or whatever I chose to plant, they can just delete them. Like you're good. You can just get rid of them. So I wanted help by taking away some of the annoying things like finding the right vegetables to plant, whatever. So I'd do that for you. Here I'm doing the inside. One really annoying thing about working with anything that's off the grid is trying to find lighting for the house. I think that the idea of off the grid is so great, but when it came down to execution on maybe like the Sims behalf, I think it ran a little bit short with what you can do. For example, you can't have a fridge. And so how do you eat is kind of like the question, which is another reason why I added the garden, so that way if you are starving to death, you can just like pop some strawberries. But another reason why I added the fire pit outside too, so Sims can go outside and eat. I do have a stove in this house, but you can only grill herbal recipes, but that's if you have the outdoor living expansion. I can't remember if that's what it's called, but I mean, I add it mostly just for looks too, because otherwise the kitchen looks like it's missing something if they don't have that. And also one issue that they have is some of the candles don't work with the off the grid, which makes absolutely no sense. But for now, while I'm building this, I do put some of the weird vampire hanging lights just because I needed some light to illuminate all the rooms, so that way I could decorate all of this stuff. So I will delete those later. I don't keep a weird Victorian style going on. I'm just doing that for lighting reasons. And here I had this Murphy bed because I thought, oh my gosh, this is right after the pack came out. I got really excited. I wanted to use the new item, but it didn't work. It felt way too modern for the space. So I do eventually delete that. But for now, I just decided to move on and try to make it work, but it didn't. And here I'm just trying to figure out what lighting works, so that way I don't have a really dark house. I like really, really pretty bright light areas. And I also, since it is a micro home, it felt very open in that space, even though it's small. So I added the little divider right there in between the bedroom, if you want to call it that, and the kitchen. So that way it feels like there's something that is dividing the two sections. Because it is nice when you can tell, like, this is the designated sleeping area and this is the kitchen. I had an easel for fun, and that way you can paint. I feel like anything in an off-the-grid house that can give you any kind of fun or skill, just put it in there, because otherwise your sim is just going to be bored all the time. Yeah, so that's why I even add a desk. I figured sim can eat at it. Sim can swim or read, eat, all that good stuff. So, I mean, there's many things you can do at a desk. Funny thing, though, too, is tablets work. So I did add a tablet to the desk area because even though the sim can't charge it, they can still, like, play around with the tablet. Funny, too, cell phones don't work off the grid, which is, I think, a mistake on EA's part. They should have made cell phones work, but they don't. So the tablet works, though, for some reason. They don't have Wi-Fi, but it still works. And here, and moving on to the kitchen, I actually really like the way the kitchen turned out. I use Orange Island Living pack stuff. I use a lot of stuff from Island Living and Micro Home, or in Tiny Home and Spa Day, I think. Those are like my main ones. But I use these orange ones that I haven't actually used, that particular swatch, and it went so well with the door. I got so excited when I started this. This is where I add the stove that you probably would never use unless you're brewing herbal recipes. And I also add a grill outside here because then I realize, oh my gosh, your sim needs to eat or else they're gonna die. And I also wanted to add, obviously a place to wash your hands, and I needed a sink that worked. And this is one that worked. I ended up trying to change it to this modern one, hated it, put it back, the other one back, made way more sense. This kitchen too, I was like, I'm gonna clutter this thing. Even though it's a small house, I need to make it super cluttered. So I added some cabinets up ahead, and I added also the new Tiny Living open shelving, which I think is really cute. I really like all the detail they added into it, like the hanging mugs, like the picture frames, all that kind of stuff. So I really like the detail they put into that. And as you can tell from the beginning of Sims 4 to now, they've changed so much with what they put into the expansion packs. I feel like all the items are slowly getting more detailed and getting, I don't know, just cuter in general. Because if you look at items that are in base game, which are just super plain, I think it makes sense. They're trying to like make it simple, but then to looking at something like the Tiny Living, it just is like night and day. And so here I am trying to add as much clutter as I can on the back of all this, the cabinets and the countertops, because I wanted, still your sim could cook on it, they can cut on it, but I wanted to give it like just a super lived in feel. And in a house this size, I feel like they would have a lot of overflow clutter anyway. So that's why I added all like this kitchen stuff right onto the back of the countertops. And then I add like a little herb thing above the stove because I figured, hey, they're cooking, they grab the herbs. And I mean, that's obviously my imagination behind it, but they don't actually do that. But that's what I imagine they would do. Okay, so this is the part where I take away the bed. I keep the bookshelf though, because I actually do end up liking the way that looks, but I end up putting this bed there. I think it's from Seasons, and I didn't really like the way the headboard looks, so I put the headboard into the wall, and I was really happy with that because I like the way it looks like without a headboard. It just looks a little bit more like islandy. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I really appreciate it, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and maybe hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye.